there's 20 skills to develop to build a long lasting real estate business. Because a lot of people that are in this business have not been in it for a long time. And so going through market cycles, I think I have a different, unique perspective on what you need to develop so that you can use this business, one, to make you rich, and then second, to make you wealthy. And those are two different visions that you need to have. And there's 20 main skills that we can go through. We don't have to break them all down. We don't have time for that, but we can go through those 20 skills so people can understand and start working on them, and at least understand what they are, and how to start attacking them.
Hey friends, welcome back to another episode of the Carriage Cast podcast. I got to keep you on your toes. I get tired of doing the same intro for every podcast. This is a Carrot Cast podcast. The guy I'm with today for Deal Closers Month, carrot.com/close. He needs no introduction. Brent Daniels, what's up, dude?
I am excited to be here. Let's get this thing cracked open. Let's get some deals. Listen, this business comes down to conversations and offers. Two things: conversations and offers. That's where it all starts. If you're brand new, if you're looking to get your first deals, just focus on conversations and making offers. Do not get stuck in the education loop. Go out there, find somebody that has a personal problem with their properties, and have a conversation with them and make an offer on their property. And you are going to build so much momentum that it's gonna totally blow you away. It's gonna be absolutely fantastic.
Talk to people.
Talk to people.
Before we hit record, we were talking about like, hey, where do we want to take this? You know, it's Deal Closers Month. We're talking about negotiation. We're going to talk a little bit about that. But Brett, you mentioned something interesting about, you know, you've been in this business for over 15 years. You've seen market cycles. You've seen recessions. You've seen some of the nasty stuff. And a lot of people just haven't. And so we're going to be talking about like, how do you build a long-lasting business? Mm-hmm. And it's funny because, dude, a few weeks ago, I was talking to, do you know Phil Shaver?
Yep.
Go Fast Sold. I think it's Go Fast Sold Realty in Phoenix. And this was right before the summit. You were on summit. Phil was on another summit session. And I was on the phone with Phil, and he's like, yeah, I heard you got Brent Daniels. That's really cool. And I said, yeah. I said, what I like about Brent is he's still like, he's still doing the thing. He's not just like, oh, I'm gonna make money as a coach and I'm gonna get out of it. And Phil said, I was trying to get this deal locked down the other day, and the seller calls me and says, yeah, I decided to go with someone else. And he said, you mind if I see the contract, make sure it's legit, make sure you didn't get taken advantage of. She said over the contract, and he looked into the name and it said Brent Daniels on it.
That's it. Listen,
and he's like, he's still in it.
Listen, I'm not an influencer. I don't have a TV show. I don't travel a lot and speak on a lot of stages. I help smart people do smart deals. And whether that's my team or whether that's the coaching, that's what I do. And that's what I focus on. And that's what I love. And that's that's really what I've learned from the last 19 years of this business. Is there's a tremendous amount of ways to get distracted, but if you just focus on income producing activities, you're going to win. And so that's what I do. And yeah, that's funny that came across. I'm sure we'll be beat out by his team on some more deals this year. But my acquisition team is really, 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 really powerful and very skilled. And really, that's, you know, listen, that's what we wanted to talk about on this podcast is there's 20 skills to develop to build a long lasting real estate business. Because a lot of people that are in this business have not been in it for a long time. And so going through market cycles, I think I have a different, unique perspective on what you need to develop so that you can use this business, one, to make you rich, and then second, to make you wealthy. And those are two different visions that you need to have. And there's 20 main skills that we can go through. We don't have to break them all down. We don't have time for that, but we can go through those 20 skills so people can understand and start working on them, and at least understand what they are and how to start attacking them. So the 20 skills real quick: time management. I've got them right here on my big whiteboard.
Do it.
Lead
Yep.
generation, pre-qualifying, lead follow-up, property valuation, recognizing potential and exit strategies, repair renovation valuation, handling objections, closing skills, offer presentation, and negotiating contracts. If you're wholesaling, cash buyer database, negotiating with your buyer, escrow and title and closing attorneys, building your team, business planning, tracking your numbers, mindset, goal setting and motivation, money management and profitability, and understanding personality styles. It's a lot, but it's important to develop the skills. The skills are what matter. Stop leveraging other people's skills. Stop just getting into this business and thinking that you can hire people that live a totally different lifestyle in a totally different country, and they're going to run your business and you're going to be wildly successful and be a millionaire year after year after year. It's not going to happen. Develop the skills and you can build a long-lasting business.
You said skills, not tactics. I think people make the mistake of what you're saying is like people copy the tactics. Well, this guy's doing X, so if I do X, if I repeat this formula, I can output the same results.
Yep.
Not the case. People don't focus on growing those skills. So I like the beginning of that list, and I like the end of that list. If I were a wholesaler, I'd probably love the middle of the list too. I like you talking about lead gen. I'd say let's talk about some of the things at the bottom of that list or whatever you're pumped to talk about. Team building, mindset. Like we're talking before we hit record, what do you do when you're, if your acquisition person leaves you? I was talking with someone this week, they had a team member. I'm not going to mention any names, but they had a team member, and the team member got busted for, unethical practices, fraud, and they're gone. Boom.
Yep.
A key player out the door. Like, what do you do with that?
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, first of all, people are building their teams way too fast. I highly suggest that you get on the court and you really score the points, you rebound, you pass, you build all those skills to be able to then hire really great talent to replace you in those positions. But when it comes to really building out your team, you have to understand that they don't work for you. You work for them. You're the rainmaker. You're the one that's making them successful. You have to make sure that your processes are tight. You have to make sure that the amount of leads coming in is consistent and their quality. And you need to make sure that you give them all the tools that they need to be successful. So it's not like one of those I'm a boss and you follow me type of thing. No, they work with you, not for you. And that's just, listen, we're no longer in the industrial age. We're no longer in the information age. We're in the social age. Okay. And people want flexibility. People want to believe in what they're doing on a daily basis is going to actually impact the world in a positive way. And real estate is a phenomenal industry to be able to do that if you do it right and really help people understand what impact they're making on the communities that we're serving.
So when you need someone for acquisitions, are you looking to hire someone that, I'm not taking this towards a hiring conversation, but I'm just curious. Do you want to hire someone who has no experience and teach them everything you know? You train them like you mentioned, or do you want to find a baller closer and
when it comes to sales, I don't train at all. The more you train, the worse they are.
Interesting.
You should be able to hire somebody that is so versatile that you could drop them anywhere in the world and they're making friends. That is sale. I am telling you, and people may disagree with me on this, and I completely understand, but salespeople are made. They're born, they're not made. I'm just telling you, you're going to keep a lot of heartache and a lot of headache. And listen, I train in this whole process. I understand this whole. It doesn't mean that you can't develop the skills to be able to be effective at it. But if you're going to bring on somebody for just acquisitions, they better be a natural. They better be a natural. I'm just telling you, I've hired so many throughout the years, and the ones that I've trained the least make me the most money. I'll give you an example.
I like that.
My 2 acquisition managers, last October, we flew out to Playa del Carmen in Mexico, and we were in an all-inclusive resort. We hit our goals, so we flew everybody out. It was wonderful. And my acquisition managers Chad and Ryan are having a contest on who can say hi to the most amount of people. Strangers at a resort. No agenda, no anything. No prompting from me. This is just natural. They just wanted to see who can, initiate more conversations.
It's like a bouncer at a
That's
club
what you
carrying
want.
around the little clicker. Click,
That's
click,
it.
hi,
That's it.
click, hi, click.
They were just mentally counting, I guess. Yeah.
That's good. I don't know if this was on your list, but we were talking about it before the podcast. Personality types, understanding personality types. Why this is something that resonates with me strongly because at Carrot, one of the things we do before we hire is we have people take Colby tests. Similar to Myers-Briggs, DISC assessment, but it tells people your strengths. We do that to make sure that we have a balanced team so that we don't end up with a marketing team that is only like 100% ideas all the time, but we have a balance. So we have people on the team to keep us on the rails and to say no to some of those ideas. And we want to keep those personalities balanced. Why does personality types matter to you?
Well, a couple different things, right? So if you just want to get real clinical with it, with the 4 different personality types of analytical, driver, expressive, and amiable, it really helps to understand people's communication styles. Because if you speak fast like I am, and you're being bombastic, and you're being real expressive, and you're talking to somebody that's analytical, they're like, okay, this person's trying to pull something over me here, and I better slow this whole process down and see what's going on. That doesn't really feel right. I need more information. I need more numbers. I need more facts. I'm more of an engineer brain. So really understanding the people that we're speaking to from a customer standpoint is really critical, so that we know how to effectively communicate with them. And again, that comes down to that word versatility, right? Being able to communicate with any of the different personality types. But then also within a team, it's really important that you're not putting somebody that is uncomfortable speaking with a lot of strangers in a position to talk to a lot of strangers. And so just understanding the personality type. And I think that at least for me, and I don't know if you go through this, but I can get into a room and listen a little bit and go have conversations and start talking with people and really kind of figure out the way that their mind's ticking, the way that they're either buffering or not buffering. You know what I mean? If they're quick or if they're taking their time. And so it's a practice skill. You know what I mean? It's something that you can go in and really develop and really understand if you're really looking for it. If you're aware that there's different personalities, then you can try to cater conversations for those personalities.
Yeah. I like to, when I'm in a big room like that, I like to find the people who I can see their mind is ticking, but they're not the loudest. I don't want to hang out. I'm loud. I don't like to hang out with the loudest people in the room. I like to find the people where the wheels are turning and you can tell they've got something there, but they're not as expressive as some of the others. I want to have a conversation with those people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Recognizing those is awesome.
Yep.
What's another one on the list? You had one about mindset. Any golden nuggets around mindset?
Yes. You want to have confidence in what you're doing. It comes down to building the skills. If you are skillful and it's almost unconscious, you're going to be a lot more confident taking action because you know that you can handle the situations that are going to arise. So mindset really just comes down to building your skills and being skillful. When we start something out for the first time, we're kind of like nervous about it. We're like, okay, I don't know how good I'm going to be at this. And then you get better and better and better and better. And then you're walking with a taller posture and you have more confidence. So mindset really comes down to building the skills. It comes down to building your skills. It comes down to being around people that are doing more than you. It comes around to having a really strong financial thermostat, especially if you're an entrepreneur, and being comfortable taking a lot of the money home as opposed to just taking a small fraction of what you make every single month home to you and your family because you're investing in your business. That's not real. That's not real. Unless you're building a business that you're going to sell someday, great, invest in your business. But if you're not going to sell that business, if this is just a cash machine, and which most real estate businesses are, it's our cash machine to be able to go and buy the assets, then, I mean, you got to take the money home. You got to take the money home for you and your family. And so that comes down to a financial thermostat. And that's really something that a lot of people are challenged with because we're not used to making as much money as we can in this industry, and it kind of shocks the system.
Elaborate on that last thing you said. We're not used to making as much money as we can.
Yeah.
Shocks the system. Like, elaborate on that.
Yeah, a lot of us didn't grow up and our parents were getting $100,000 checks
Yeah.
on a monthly basis or a weekly basis. Or a $10,000 check or a $15,000 or a $30,000. I mean, we can make a tremendous fortune in in the real estate business, and if we're not used to that, it breaks our brain. And then all of a sudden we start coming up with ideas. We're like, okay, and this is like 90% of the real estate entrepreneurs I talk to. Truly. And I hope we're getting what you wanted out of this podcast, and not just a normal what's your background and what you're doing and what's working right now. But and I hope people are getting something out of this. But most people go, I'm going to pay myself $3,000 a month. I'm going to pay myself $5,000 a month. I'm going to pay myself $8,000 a month. That's like high. Oh my gosh, pay yourself $100,000 a month as a base, and then I'm going to just use all the rest of the money to go hire a bunch of people and to spend a bunch on marketing. And then all of a sudden, that $100,000 that you have in your business account that you don't really consider yours, you consider it the business, is gone. Now it's gone. And you spend it because there's one, you have the opportunity to, but two, your financial thermostat for taking the money home is set so low that you're like, well, whatever, I'm investing in my business, I feel good about this. Don't do that. Make it a minimum standard. It's not income minus expenses equals profit. It is income minus your profit. Your minimum standard that you want to take home equals your expenses. And I challenge everybody listening to the Carrot podcast here to set a minimum standard of taking home $20,000 a month minimum. That should be the minimum before you hire anybody, before you go out and expand anything, before you go bananas with any kind of hiring and team building and everything. Take the money home. Pay off your consumer debts, pay off your car payment. Don't do all of that stuff before you go and buy a rental, before you go and invest in hiring all these other people that are going to replace you in the business, before you even have the skills of leadership, before you have the skills of each one of those roles. I highly suggest you take the money home, make it a minimum standard, make yourself rich, and then go bananas, and then start going. It's gonna build incredible discipline in your business, and you're going to be much more powerful, and you're going to be long lasting. I want everybody to win. I love everybody in this industry. I truly do. People are like, why do you say that? I really do. There's not many people that are doing what we do. I go to family barbecues. I go to family reunions. I hang out. I'm talking to the people that I know and love and my relatives, and I'm excited about investing in real estate and wholesaling real estate and flipping properties. And their eyes literally gloss over when I start talking about it. They do.
Yeah. I feel you.
Having these conversations are exciting to me because it's like, okay, you understand what I'm trying to do here.
Yeah.
And that's amazing. And so I want everybody to win. So take the money home. Take the money home.
So this is good advice. Do you know David Richter?
Yeah, of course.
Talk with David. So we had David Richter. You've probably had him on your podcast, dude. He's kind of making the rounds. This dude is sharp. Yep. He's got really good advice. He really elaborates and breaks down all of the things you just talked about as far as like responsibly handling your money, setting a budget in your business, doing the right things with your money, paying yourself. But here's a question. Level with me for a second. Like, you can get all the head knowledge. You can listen to David Richter. You can listen to Dave Ramsey, all the other Daves that are talking about how to handle your money. There's still, like, I feel like guys especially, I mean, girls have their shopping, guys have their things. Like, I'm a car guy. Everybody has their toys. What's your toy? This is my main question, but like, what's your thing?
I have children, bro. You know what I mean? Like, that's my thing.
They suck all the money. I got two boys. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, children. I mean, for me, like, I don't know. I did the car thing when I was younger, and then those got repoed. So I realized, that really wasn't my thing.
Yeah.
I did real big, huge, fancy house. They got foreclosed. So, I've got a nice place. I've got a cabin. That's probably the biggest thing. Is I've got a log cabin in Flagstaff, Arizona that I love, just improving and adding on to and doing some cool stuff. So that's my thing. But for
So,
the
but
most part, I'm putting it into new businesses,
okay.
or I'm putting it into real estate.
So tell me, so if you were the car guy and you
Hmm.
were like the shiny object thing,
Yeah,
what caused the switch? Because I feel like this is something to drill in on because this is something that holds a lot of people back, and not
I
just
love it.
like experienced entrepreneurs, but newer entrepreneurs. Like I'm sure you deal with this coaching your students every day. It's like you just need them to make more financially responsible decisions and invest their time and the money in the right places. They know what they need to do, but their heart does something different and they just don't do the thing. So what was the switch for you from being a fancy things car guy to I want not I do and I should, but I want to put my money into assets and I want to do the right things with my money and pay myself.
Yeah, yeah. I realize nobody cares. Like, I thought that when you became a millionaire, there'd be like a parade, like the kids from high school that doubted anything that you did would put you on your shoulders and carry you around, and you'd have a bunch of esteem and respect and everything. And your family would be just like, "Oh my gosh, this is great." There's no parade. There's no parade. Nobody cares. Actually, it's the exact opposite. You get a lot more critics when you get to a certain point. So what I realized is, um, it's you got to do it for you. If you love it, if you love a good car, if you love whatever you want to spend your money on, great. Just make sure that it's not all your money, and make sure that you've got all of your debts paid before you get into whatever kind of thing that you want. And remember, it's really interesting that you asked this, because I bought this building that I'm in. It's a commercial office here in Phoenix, and outside there was a guy that was, I don't know, he's probably 20s, maybe early 30s, and homeless. He was looking rough. I brought him some waters, and I was asking him, can I like call somebody to pick you up? Can I help you out? And he's like, "Oh, you just want to call the cops. You just want to get rid of me, whatever." And I was like, "No, listen, I own this building. This is my place of business, and people are coming in, and I just don't want you laying around in my building." And he goes, "Oh, you own that building, or it owns you?" And I was like, "Okay, what do you mean?" He's like, "Yeah, you own it or it owns you. You have to keep it up, right? You have to pay on it, right?" And it's a really interesting perspective
Hmm.
from somebody that was out on the streets.
Yeah.
Was, does it own you, or do you own it? You know what I mean? Because I see so many of my friends that bought the Lamborghinis and the big houses, and they have 11 air conditioners, and they have all these things, and they pay $1,700 a month in landscaping. They have to have people over at their house all the time fixing things. Their car's always in the shop, so they have to take an hour out of their Tuesday to go bring it to the exotic car place to go get fixed. I have a buddy that bought one of those Rolls Royces, and the little gal that pops up from your hood was leaking or something, and the ceiling was leaking, and so everything was screwed up, so it was in the shop. For it's like that, right?
It
Does it
never
own
ends.
you, or do you own it? And
Yeah.
so I wear the same thing every single day. I drive a Raptor, a Ford Raptor, and I
A
just I
Shelby
just go to
Raptor or a
work,
regular
man.
Raptor?
Huh?
A Shelby Raptor or a regular Raptor?
Just a regular Raptor,
Okay.
just a Ford Raptor truck.
I was
You know what
just
I mean?
curious. I like the
I
Raptors.
don't know. I don't like, attention management matters.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Attention management matters, and you go and you buy all these luxury things that you have to then, baby and think about. I've got kids, man. I've got kids. I've got a wife. I've got health to think about. I've got assets to build. I got too much to do to deal with nonsense.
Dude, this resonates with me massively because if I remember the name of this documentary, I'm going to put it in the show notes, but I watched a documentary on Netflix a few years ago about minimalism. It's probably like the most popular one. I'm sure other people have heard it. The guy has a book and a podcast. I think his name is Scott. But anyways, the dude owns like 28 or 30 items. I mean, like 30 items. Like his
Yeah,
belt is an item. A pair of jeans is an item.
yeah,
Maybe two if it's a pair. I don't know. But anyways, this really helped me understand why what you said just matters. Like everything has a cost. And for me, I got ADHD, and I feel like this is not professional advice. This is not. There's no data behind this. I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with focus, have ADHD, shiny object syndrome, whatever. Like
Yeah.
they're way too excited and see all the opportunity, and so I feel like focus is critical. But I love what you're talking about. How everything comes at a cost. Like even if it's just, oh, that's a cool mug, that's a cool widget. Like I want to buy that.
Yep.
Everything it takes up attention and space in your brain. It comes with maintenance. It comes with tasks in the future. You got to decide to get rid of it someday. That's why I just like I try, I'm not perfect at it, but I try not to let crap get in my life. When people
Yep.
give me stuff, that doesn't get irritated. I'm like, oh, don't give me stuff. Now I got to worry about the thing you gave me. Maybe I'm rude, but
I get it. And listen, I you see a lot of entrepreneurs, we have chips on our shoulder. We just do. We have a problem with authority. We have chips on our shoulder. We want the best out of life. And I completely understand. I completely understand. I grew up very middle class, but I completely understand. I work with a lot of students and a lot of people just around the country that grew up with nothing or live in other countries with nothing or immigrated here with nothing, and they always wanted something, and so they have this chip on their shoulder. They have the hunger in their bellies to go out and to get out of it, out of that place that they grew up financially, and they do, and then they go bananas, and then they go, okay, I went bananas, let's pull it back down, and let's buy some assets. And I think people could probably skip that phase, but you know what? Maybe it's healthy. Maybe it's healthy to go out there, and you didn't have the Jordans growing up. You go and buy 100 pairs of Jordans. You didn't have a car that worked really well. You go out and buy a bunch of cars. You grew up in a house that had one bathroom, and you buy a house that has 11 bathrooms just to get it out of your system. Maybe you need that. And I see that often. I see that very, very
mm,
often. Maybe you do. I don't know. But I think if you skip that and you really just focus on, okay, I'm going to put my money into things that are going to make me baby monies, right? Then maybe I can have more flexibility in the back half of my life than I did in the front half.
mm. Yeah, I like that. It makes me think of Rod Cleef, man. We had Rod Cleef on the podcast. I'm sure you've talked with him. Rod Cleef, how he gained and lost $50 million. Him telling
Yep.
the story of laying in his pool and looking at this, $150,000, $75,000, whatever it cost, custom aquarium in his home that cost more than most people's homes, just the aquarium. And he said basically one day God smacked him on the head and lost all his money. It was like, okay, humbled him a bit. It was like, okay, maybe I went a little bit too bananas with it.
Yeah. Well, it takes your attention away.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't even imagine how much time it took him to pick out a $150,000 aquarium, what kind of glass, what kind of rocks they put in the bottom, what kind of like things they put in the middle, what fish work with other fish. Like that would be too much. It's just too much, you know?
Yeah.
How much attention do you want to do? Again, I'm a deal junkie. I like putting my attention on doing deals, hanging out with my friends and family who work with me in the business, and turning it off on the weekends and just spending family time.
Mm,
So,
yeah.
but
That's
but you
good.
got to build the skills. You got to build the. I'm telling you, this is a skill based business. This is not AI is going to take over and all of a sudden have all the skills for you. It's not going to happen. I know
Mm,
you wanted to touch on AI, but it's just not going
yeah.
to happen. This is a human business.
So I got one or two more questions for you, but one of
Yep.
them was, so you got this rhino mentality, you got the rhino on
Mhm.
your desk, the rhino's big for you. I feel like
Yep.
that could easily be misconstrued when we're talking about like crushing objections and battling objections. How do you have a rhino mentality with empathy and
Yeah.
understanding people?
Well, Rhino's not running over people. Rhino's running over your goals. You know what I
Mm,
mean? It's staying focused, charging after one goal at a time, and having really thick skin on the way there. That's all that is. You know what I mean? And so it's just about taking massive imperfect action. And in that massive imperfect action, you're going to understand and go through and have conversations with people that are having the toughest times of their life. And so empathy comes along with this job. Empathy comes along with this. If you don't have that, then it's a really difficult business to go and source opportunities. If you don't have that, then just stick to flipping. If you don't have that, then just stick to, building your rental portfolio. But if you're going to source discounted properties, we trade in empathy. That's our whole business. And it's wildly rewarding to be able to solve the problems of people that are totally stressed out by their properties. So it's an incredibly rewarding business. It really is. But you have to have tremendous amount of empathy. You have to have a tremendous amount of patience. And if you don't have those things, but you're working on them, you'll get them. It's skill building. It's part of the process.
You mind if we try something real quick?
Yep.
I want to do a quick role play. But before that,
Yep.
what's the trickiest call you've ever had with a lead? Like, what's the trickiest objection or like scenario a seller's been in?
Usually it has to do with the ownership of the property, probate issues, will issues, some issues. It's never, listen, if you follow the right process, there's not tough conversation, like really, really tough. Because if people want to sell their property, that's what really happens here, right? And a lot of role plays and everything. It's like people trying to convince people to sell their property. I never do. We're deal finders, not deal creators, right? And so I'm just trying to see if somebody would consider an offer on their property or has thought about selling. And if they have, then we pre-qualify them based on 4 things: condition, timeline, motivation, and price. And then from there, it's just lining all those things up. And if the price lines up and the terms line up, then it's just whether or not they want to do business with you. So really closing is just a natural progression of doing your pre-qualifying and your lead follow-up.
Okay. I'm glad you said that because I had an idea in my head. So roll with me for just a second.
Yeah.
Entertain me if you will, Brent, because I'm curious.
Yeah.
Because I've never wanted to sell my house fast for cash. I Googled, I'm looking for someone. I stumble upon Brent's handsome face.
Yeah.
And I fill out the form on his care site, say, hey, Brent, looking for someone to potentially buy my house. Not sure if this is legit. Boom. Submit the form.
Yep.
Kind of lukewarm. You call me up. Hopefully.
Yep.
Hopefully you follow up. Okay.
We call up within a minute.
Within a minute.
Within a minute. Let everybody know. If you were to call my number, we should probably do this. You should call. Can you pull up Joe Homebuyer Arizona and call my website and see if the chat, if somebody better answer live.
Let's see.
Let's do this on the podcast. Let's really do this. I love this.
Okay.
Because it goes to like 4 different people, but I bet Chad answers.
Okay.
Yeah. Let me make sure that one is go to the meet the team, because there's 2 Joe Homebuyers here. Yep, that's us. Call that number.
Okay.
Look at that guy.
So handsome.
Yeah.
Okay. Why do iPhones do that? 91268. People that are only listening to the podcast right now are like, what is that?
No, this is what they want. This is real life.
Okay.
Put it on speaker.
Homebuyer, this is Ryan.
Hey, Ryan. My name is Brady, and found you guys online. Just found your webs. Are you guys Joe Homebuyers?
Joe Homebuyer, right? Yeah.
Okay. Here's the thing, man. Like, I'm going through a really gnarly divorce. Like, it's got me in a hot mess right now, and I'm not exactly sure what to do with my place. I don't know. I'm overloaded. Like, I'm working so much. I don't even have time to mow the stinking lawn. I kind of want to sell it, but my ex-wife, we're not divorced yet, but it's like, I can't even talk to, I don't even know what to do. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if you've been through this, but like,
all right. So you kind of want to sell it because that's something you guys share it together. You're both on title, right?
yeah.
You kind of want to just your divorce, but you don't want to sell it because of what reason?
I mean, I don't know how, like, it's messy. Like, I don't feel like I'm in a good mental state. Like, I don't feel like I'm self-aware enough to know I'm not making probably the most quality decisions right now, but I'm kind of nervous. Like, if we end up going to court, if she ends up getting the whole house, if I try to sell it, I put money into this house. I've been paying this mortgage for years, man. I don't want to lose my tail on this.
Yeah, I understand. Well, where is she at? As far as, is she? I mean,
Pete's me.
Because here's the thing. First of all, yeah, you don't want to rush into anything, because if you rush into something, then you end up selling the house probably a lot less than you get. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, and when it comes to divorce, and is she on title? It honestly doesn't even matter. Like,
yeah, she's on the deed.
She has to make the decision with you, and unless you guys agree to a price and selling in the first place and all that stuff, you're going to have to get divorce lawyers involved, and they're going to be making the kind of decision for you. There's going to be negotiations involved between your lawyer and hers, and it does get messy, man. Like, the lack of a better word is it's a shitty situation.
Yeah. Yeah, tell me.
So the best thing that I can suggest is having a down, civil as you possibly can conversation with her and go, what should we do? Because if she doesn't want to sell, like, do you have kids? Like, what's the situation? Do you guys sell this, go your separate ways and be good, or are there other moving parts?
Oh, I get 2 boys. We have 2 boys.
Are they young?
Yeah.
And who's living at the house right now?
Me and the boys.
So yeah, man, it's gonna have to come down to just having a nitty-gritty conversation with her and go, what do we want to do?
Can you help me talk to my wife? Can you?
I can. Yeah, I can.
For
I can
reals?
ask her, hey, well, I don't see why not. It's just a matter of seeing if she's on board to sell.
Huh.
If she says no, I'm not selling, then it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I can say whatever I want, and if she doesn't want to sell, you can't sell. That's just how it is. And then the lawyers get involved. It's just if you guys can't get on the same page, then it does get really messy.
So here's the thing, dude. I've had a hard time getting a hold of her, but I know that this is a headache. I think it's a headache for her too. I think if I came to her and said, I have someone willing to help us out that like actually gets this and can like just get this over with, get this thing done with, I think she might be willing to meet up with me in a third party. That's not just me. She doesn't want to duke it out with me. Are you free today? Like, I know that's super short notice.
It depends on the time. I'm on my way to an appointment right now as well, and then I'll have free time after. It kind of depends.
Let's do it. Okay. Let me get a hold of her and I'll shoot you some times. Is that okay? Do you need to know anything about the house, or is that?
Actually, yeah. That's what I was going to ask you. Let me just get some of that formal information. I just kind of have it going into it. What's your address?
So, what was your name again?
It's Ryan.
Ryan? Okay, so Ryan, please forgive me because I think I lie once every 15 years, and like I'm like high nerves even telling you this right now. Like even just role playing. Can I tell you a thing? So I'm on a podcast right now with Brent Daniels.
You guys are messing with me. I don't like it.
I'm so sorry, man. I'm so sorry. You thought I was a hot, motivated lead. Here's the thing, man. But here's what I want to tell you. We were talking about negotiation and empathy, and I know you're probably just like, I just blew up your brain right now because I'm not a motivated seller. So I really am sorry, dude. But I want to thank you because Brent's like talking to the team, and I was like, hey, Brent, let's do some role play. I said, what happens if I call you? And I'm like, so Brent was like, no, you need to call the website. So anyways, I called you, and we wanted to give the podcast listeners like a real taste of what empathy actually looks like. And I will say genuinely, you blew away my expectation for the amount of empathy and understanding and how casual it was. Like, that sounded like talking to a buddy. I was like waiting for the pitch, waiting for the hammer, and you didn't drop it. Like, that was that felt legit. If I need to sell my house next time, I'm not calling someone local. I'm calling you guys down in Phoenix.
Well, we're all about that.
I appreciate that. Thanks for being on the Carrot Cast, man. You didn't know you were, but you're going to be on the Carrot Cast.
Well, awesome. Enjoy the rest of the day, man.
Yeah. My apologies. That's my fault. That's all me.
It's all good. Is your name really Brady?
It is Brady, and you really will be on the Carrot Cast.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, have a good one.
Later, bro. Thank you.
Later.
That's what I'm talking about. Listen, they're the best of the best. He's absolutely incredible. I mean, listen, none of that was about the property off the bat. That was all listening. I think he asked you, I was telling it, I think he was at like 9 or 10 questions just over and over and over, trying to better understand what was going on there. That's what we do. But again, listen, that is something that was natural. I gave him the verbiage, but for real estate specific conversations, but he's a natural. He was a police officer for 12 years in Scottsdale. And so he understands situations, and he understands how to ask really good questions. And he's the best of the best. Isn't that great?
Dude, that's awesome, man. Your team rocks. What's interesting, I thought the empathy was going to be cheesy or scripted, not because of your team, just because I'm calling someone I found online. And
but bro, he does this all day long.
Right. I thought the empathy was going to be words. It wasn't. The empathy was the lack of words and the dude, I get it. I'm sorry. And staying focused and like help. He's more focused on like helping me, which was actually more helpful than like a bunch of fluff. So yeah.
Yep.
He's a savage. That was awesome.
There you go. So I
feel so bad. I feel so bad. I'm like, oh man, he thinks I'm a lead. He thinks he's getting a deal today.
He's already on it. Listen, he's locking up a really big deal here at noon, so we're fine. Don't worry about it.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
All right, man. We're getting close to time. I got one more question for you. One thing I want to talk about. Is that okay?
Yep.
Okay, so I've been curious about this for a while. Something I want to ask you about has nothing to do with anything we've talked about. Your studio is dope. Your studio is awesome, and not only that, Braden, our producer behind the scenes right now, Trevor's content guy, got to come check out the studio in person recently, and was telling me about how awesome it is. What's that look like? Why did you want to invest all this money into not only like a studio that's like high speed, high quality, but the people too? I feel like this is an area where a lot of people like cheap out. I don't, because I'm an audio video guy. That's where my roots are. But like, why do you want to go all in on that?
Well, and listen, I don't think it really matters as long as your message is really, really strong and really helps people out. So I don't think that I think that most people can do a lot of damage on just their iPhone if they really have conviction about what they're talking about. But the pandemic hit, everything got shut down. And it was at the perfect time where my boys needed me around a lot more. And so instead of traveling and spending 150, 200 grand a year on traveling around and speaking on stages and staying in hotels, I can stay here and do this. And so I've got a phenomenal producer, Matt, that does countless things for me. And I want to pour back into the community and make it a little bit more professional. So we got this big LED wall. We've got great cameras and teleprompters and lights and everything else. But really, it's just so that we can get the message out that anybody can do this business, that you can go out there and without any experience, find a property on the streets, just literally drive on the streets, find a property that needs some renovation. And reach out to the property owner, and you can literally Google addresses or Google a property owner's name, and through truepeoplesearch.com get their information for free. Call them up, ask them if they would consider an offer on their property, and that's how you start this. And this business changed my life. I lost everything in the downturn. I was a egomaniac 20s era not era, but that decade is tough for a lot
Yeah.
of people in your 20s,
Yeah.
where you're out in the first time, and you want to be successful, and I wasn't the tallest or the handsomest or the fastest or whatever else, so I wanted to be the most successful, and I wanted everybody to know it, and that screws everything up. So I lost everything, and the way that I got out of that hole was by simply driving around the streets, finding ugly properties, giving the owners a call, and putting together those deals. And I think anybody can do that. I've had the fortune to work with 3,000 people personally in the Rhino tribe, and it's just I love this. We're in the social age, so if you're in the social age, there's a lot that you can do by being on camera and having really good microphones.
Yeah.
That's
Awesome.
a long way to answer a simple question.
It makes sense though. I love it, man. And I appreciate being honest about like wanting to spend more time at home, be with the boys. Yeah. I love how you did that. Where can people find you, man?
Hilarious.
Where do you want people to go?
Yeah, wholesalinginc.com. We have incredible amount of resources there. We've got a YouTube channel, Brent Daniels on YouTube, and then we also have the Wholesaling Inc. podcast. So any one of those.
Awesome. I appreciate it, man. One thing I want to say, it's kind of a fleeting thought, but you talked about your 20s, like trying to figure out your ego. I can relate to that. I read a really good book in my mid 20s. I'm 31 now, so I'm barely into my 30s, but really read this really good book called Start by John Acuff. Heard of that guy?
Yep.
He was a writer for Dave Ramsey. Now he's blown up, speaking, written a few books, but he broke it into really interesting stages, and reading that book brought me a lot of like relief, knowing that it was normal to my age, kind of what you're describing. Because your 20s is it was basically starting, basically figuring things out, finding your thing. And he's got a sexier word for this. He's the author. I'm gonna botch it, but that's your 20s. Your 30s is editing, and then your 40s is mastering. And your 50s, it was something like legacy or giving back or something like that. But I was like, oh, that's a really great, simple way to put it. Like, it's okay to be figuring things out in your 20s. You should be failing forward and just falling apart and trying to figure yourself out in your 20s. We get out of high school thinking like, oh, now I got to figure out myself out in the next couple of years. Hope maybe when I'm done with college. And it's like all your 20s, you're just like, what's my thing? What am I doing? I still wake up, I'm like, what is my thing? And then your 30s, you start to, okay, getting a little bit of momentum here. Then your 40s, you're really getting momentum. I don't know, that book and just, hearing you be transparent about that really helped me with my patience and just having that perspective. Like, this is not overnight,
Yeah. It takes a long time to build the skills. It really does. It takes a long time. These 20 skills are really, really, really important. And if you skip any of them, your business is just going to be a little bit weaker. So, yeah, I mean, listen, everybody's different. I don't know. There's some people that are, 19 years old that don't have their head on their shoulders, and they're like they're 50 years old. You know what I mean? Not me. I was a knucklehead for a long time. So everybody's different. Everybody's in a different thing. I don't believe that anybody should label anybody, especially labeling ourselves. But I do believe that you should go out and develop the skills of building a long-lasting business and being a real business owner. Because when we start out, really, number one is you got to find your tribe. You got to find people that are going to support you and cheerlead you and understand what you're going to do. You need the support of other people that have already done this business. Second, pick a model. Pick a model that you want to follow, whatever it is. It doesn't matter, but just pick a model that you want to follow. Third, get proof of concept, right? Do your first deal, make income, have it come in out of your efforts in this business. Fourth, get the consistency so that you can do this business full time. We call it firing your boss, right? You fire your boss and be able to go into this business full time. And then fifth is you work on firing yourself from different roles in the business. And that's when it gets exciting, because the sixth part is really when you start building the wealth. But that first 5 steps is getting rich. The sixth step is to getting wealthy. And I really highly suggest that people focus on getting rich first, and then worry about the legacy and the long lasting wealth building later.
That's key right there. That's critical. I appreciate you mentioning that, giving people that context.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you, man. I appreciate the conversation.
Brady, you're awesome. This has been fun. This has been all over the place. I hope it does. This go to YouTube?
Yes. Goes to YouTube, goes to our
Awesome.
website, carrotcast.com, goes to the podcast feed.
Guys,
Yeah.
put some comments in there. Tag me in it. I'd love to answer any questions that you have. I've got a 6-part video series on my YouTube channel breaking down these 20 skills, and it's a lot of fun. We get really, really deep into them, and it's a lot of fun, and we put a lot of love into them. So check it out.
Yeah, I love y'all's content. Y'all set the bar high. You keep the bar high for our industry as far as content goes. So thank you. You inspired me today as an interviewer I'm usually not scripted, but refined, planned, ordered to like have a little bit more freedom and like, be okay if we go, it doesn't match the title 100%. We're going to talk about something unexpected. Like, I love this company.
Yeah.
Good.
Awesome.
Sweet.
Thank
you, man. I appreciate it. Hope you have a good rest of your day. Everybody listening, watching, thank you. If you liked it, share it with a friend. Send them to carrotcast.com. Leave a review on Apple Podcasts. All of the things. Really leave us a review. And we appreciate you tuning in. And we'll see you next week, everyone.